It's the one and only DOX Diggla, better known now as Brick City Buddha, and you're now rocking with Heritage Hip Hop. What up, Karev? Okay.
Peace and blessings, everybody. You know who I am already, so I don't really have to go through this. But if you don't know who I am Karev. This is Heritage Hip Hop, and we got a blessing in the building right now. Please introduce yourself to the folks.
Peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses, as I always say, those who know me. If you don't know me, I go by many names, but as of late, DOX Diggla, Brick City Buddha, man of many hats. I'm an artist, activist, actor, own a nonprofit, run a meditation company, teacher. I'm in no schools now. Shout out to everybody that helped to make that happen. And overall man and child of God. Diggla.
At the end of the day, this interview was like what, a year and a half in the making?
Yes.
This is
we
dope.
Finally got it done.
But the reason why it took a year and a half to make is because your interview is different than everybody else's. DOX Diggla is the Ascension of HipHop.
I respect that.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
How did hip hop get to DOX Diggla and make DOX Diggla a child of it?
Well, I actually got to it late based on hip hop standards. Like I grew up in the church, and at that time my sister was super wild, so I kind of prided myself on being a good kid, even though I did a lot of bullshit. I could curse, right?
Yeah.
Even though I did a lot of bullshit myself too. I just was good at not getting caught, and the attention was always on her. But as a result of that, I did the best I could to like not put more stress on my parents because they was going through a lot, trying to get her right. So it was really a result of her blasting all the 90s classics, the Snoop albums, the Dog Pound albums, the Meth albums, and really it was just kind of background noise at first. I wasn't really even aware of what I was hearing, but it was seeping into my subconscious before I even became aware of it. And to make a long story short, besides her, shout out to my big bro Stress Balboa Boogie, another fire, slept on legendary Jersey artist, but he kind of took me under his wing and started to like really teach me the science of it. So even though Rakim and De La Soul and things of that nature wasn't really popping in the era I came up with I got my era and I got the era before me because Stress, and he kind of made me a student of it rather than just, a fan and an artist myself.
Before we continue, for all those who are not members, join heritagehiphop.com.
Right.
You get playlist number 2, and on the one is on playlist number 2 with Stress, DOX, and Drift.
There you go.
So
shout out to Drift, so two of my big bros.
All right, so part of what makes a rapper MC special is how they were groomed in the game. And you told me just now that your grooming came from life, experience, and learning.
Right.
To be great at anything, you need life, you need to learn, and you need experience. How did wisdom groom you into wordplay, not in just doing the things you do in life?
Without the wisdom of experience, like you said, I wouldn't have shit to talk about. And I think we in an era where that's kind of been pushed to the forefront, where you don't got to say shit. As long as you can flow it right, as long as the beat is right, it's something that people could do this to and bounce to, we Gucci. And I feel like our standards have greatly descended. Now I'm not somebody saying that every hip hop record got to be conscious.
Right.
Every hip hop record don't have to teach, but if you one of these people that's milking hip hop to the degree that a lot of this generation is, and you never give no type of substance whatsoever, that's an issue for me, and that's something I feel like I'm here to rectify or help to kind of recalibrate. And a large part of that reason is it's not even really their fault. I don't blame these young dudes. Like, I'm not one of these old heads that's like, man, fuck them, because I understand the record companies that hire them. They know they don't got no life experience outside of busting a nut, smoking a blunt, you know what I'm saying, and looking fly. And that's why most of the content you hear in the music is about frivolous shit that's not gonna get you through your day. We had stuff that, like, you came in today and you said, it's been a rough week. A lot of people is going through that right now. Our music got you through that rough week. Not just on Friday and Saturday helped you to be able to party, it got you to Friday and Saturday. So before I even picked up a pen, I had a good grasp on the person I was becoming and who I wanted to become before I even start rapping. And I feel like that's a major issue right now. Artists don't know who they are. let alone who they want to portray to the world.
That's why I said this interview is the ascension of hip hop, because you're on a higher level mentally, experience wise, and so your worldview is a little more broader than tunnel.
Right.
And it shows in things I've seen and things I've heard from your music and your action. For instance, I always say that, but for instance, one thing about you that I've seen is this. When a man believes in something, he lives the thing he believes in. And one of the main articles of law in slavery is to destroy the belief to give tradition and rule. How did you let your belief instruct your vision instead of following the tradition of doing other people do?
That took a long time for me to be able to do, because again, I was raised in the church. And I did leave semi-early. Like a lot of people get indoctrinated and just keep that belief system their whole life, whether they really scrutinize if it works for them or not. I was scrutinizing that at 20, 21 years old. And mind you, my whole life in the church, I gave it the best shot I could. I was a minister in training from like 17 to 19 and 20 by reading the Bible, or at least the understanding of the Bible that was taught to me. That's when I realized I don't rock with the Bible. I don't rock with Christianity. Like everybody around me, family, friends, everybody was church people. So even though I knew I needed to go a different route at that time, that shit was scary, because I felt like I had fear that I was gonna lose a lot of the people that I felt like held me down and corroborated the frequency I was in. And the minute I left the church, to a large degree, I lost my family, like my parents, my sister, like my immediate family, turned their back on me. And that told me a lot. That told me that, and a lot of the kids I work with, when we had these real conversations, a lot of them wind up in depression and suicidal because they get let down by so many people. But to be let down, that means you had to extend your trust, right? To extend your trust, that means you had to go through a venting period where you said, okay, whether it was a day or 10 years, I'm looking at how this person functions, how they think, and I'm saying, you know what, I can rock with that. At that point, I realized when you disagree with somebody, right? When y'all don't see eye to eye on something as big as God and religion, that's when you really learn people's true colors. That's when you really learn your true colors. And if you could stand on what you believe in, regardless of what anybody else think about it. That's why I always talk about Kanye. Like, I know people got a lot of issues with Kanye, and I don't agree with everything Kanye say, but I equate him, at least courage-wise, to Pac. I feel like he's the closest thing, as crazy as that may sound, he's the closest thing to Pac we got, because whether you agree with what he has to say or not, he's not afraid to say it in front of the whole world, knowing what the world is going to say about him, knowing the jokes and the memes and all this shit that's going to be said about him, and knowing with the stuff he's talking about, he's under fire. Like, he could be assassinated at any point for the level of awakening that he's doing his best to bring to the people. Yeah, just hit that button for me. But yeah, that's why I always champion Kanye, and I'm now at the level of going through that experience of losing my friends, losing my family, losing who I thought was my brothers, the woman I thought I was going to marry, and everybody pretty much. Like, when I really went to the higher level of myself, it was 2 years of solitude where I ain't have no friends, nobody to like really reach out to. It was just me, my sins, my higher self and my lower self in a room, 4 walls, ceiling, floor. And that taught me, that gave me the ability to be able to stand on whatever I believe in, no matter who don't rock with it.
Everything you said makes me believe in the Bible.
Right.
It's not to counter you.
I do now.
Yeah, it doesn't counter you though.
Right.
It's what you said.
Right.
Until you experience it, you don't know what the hell you're reading.
Exactly.
And KRS once said, until you know the author of the book, you know nothing about the authors.
Right.
And because there's so many authors, people argue the mind of men when men were made and lived in different periods and tell the same story.
Right.
Which is the higher self.
Right.
The higher self is the definition of anti-industry and anti-slavery. And when you talked about the industry today and how the music that's out and you can't fault them, the best way to enforce slavery into the mind is monetary achievement.
Oh, of course.
So I'm such you can be that, and as long as that beat is hot, which it is, you'll bounce to it like you said, and then the mind control starts.
Absolutely.
Pac and Kanye, I'll leave that to you. You teach that class. I'm cool. But I get the point.
Right.
Well, the point is, when you free think, no matter how free or enslaved you are,
Right.
a free is always higher.
Yeah.
No matter how you think, your actions dictate the freedom or the grasp of the chain that you're on.
Absolutely.
What was the hardest chain you had to break as an MC and as a man to be DOX Diggla, the Brick City Buddha?
The last question was probably the toughest one I had to break. And I kind of coined it. We on the hip hop show right now, Heritage Hip Hop. OPP, right?
Okay.
I always use that terminology, but not the one we know, right? Especially us being from Jersey. Shout out to Naughty by Nature, but I don't mean other people's pussy when I say that. I mean other people's perceptions, right? And a lot of my counseling sessions, the kids I work with now, we always dig into that aspect because meditation is as beautiful as it is when you're at peace and you zenned out. It's really about practical application to better create your world and your reality. To do that, you gotta clearly see yourself. And when you start to dig into yourself, you see the majority of your actions, your thoughts, your speech, your clothing, the car you buy, is for what somebody else is gonna say. It's what somebody else is gonna think. So that was the hardest thing to break, but being that we kind of touched on that last question, right underneath that, as a man who is some form of magnetic and litty and always has been to a certain degree in different parameters, the beast of being a slave to my dick.
Okay.
Like, let's keep it completely 100. And a lot of the male sessions I work with, I always recommend a book. And if you're a man watching this and you're trying to get control of your dick, you tired of getting in trouble for cheating on wifey and all that, you don't want to give up half, check out this book called Cultivating Male Sexual Energy by Montauk Chia, M-A-N-T-A-K, last name Chia. And in this book, like, it talks about what sexual energy really is. And I just give a brief excerpt. The average man is going nut, climax, come, whatever you want to call it, right? Let's keep it a buck. 5,000 times, the average man. Let alone if you lit, you smell good, you look good, you got some money, you funny, triple that if that's the case, right? Every time you release sexual energy as a man, it's between 200 and 500 million sperm being released. Every single one of those sperm has the power to do what? Give life.
Populate the earth.
Give life, right? So every time you release that force, that's the same force you need to create a business. That's the same force. My kidney conked out during this time. I literally went blind, like legally blind. I had to recover from all that. You don't have the energy to be able to heal the body. You don't have the wherewithal to cultivate a family and a relationship with a woman. You don't have the energy to stay in peace. So that was probably the second hardest thing I had to do to go to the next level. And shout out to my wife, to my son now. The only way I was able to establish those things for myself at that point was by taking a year celibacy and kind of redirecting the flow of that energy that was going out into, let me call this one through or call this one through. I started to not pick up the phone in those moments where I had that urge and the system and the programming of, okay, it's time to bust a nut. I started to let that subside and redirect that energy. As soon as I did, that's when the other parts of my life started to explode. And I really conquered the beast, you know what I mean? Because I'm around nothing but beautiful women now. Elevated women, conscious women, the type of women that dudes would want a wife. If I hadn't broken that program, I wouldn't have gotten to this level, but even if I did, I would be fucking it up right now. Chasing the bullshit, so, yeah.